We're still on South Hutchinson Island, and yes, about midway down this island, you can go horseback riding, an adventure I want to do one day. The tide is low, but it is late in the afternoon, so let's hop around to a few different beaches here and see what we can still find. Calicos, shark eyes, whelks, drills, an awesome top shell, and lots of egg casings are some of the treasures we'll find. And I'll show you another tea light project I've been working on. Welcome to Florida Beach Walks. I'm Roxanne. Let's go shelling. Usually I do like hitting the beach, of course, at wee crazy hours in the morning. But hey, I had some time, and even though it was late in the afternoon, I wanted to go shelling. So that's where I am on South Hutchinson. We are still here. Here is a spectral bittersweet clam and a little rock. Now, I've been into these little rock hagstones lately to pick up. Now, I thought legitimately this was a lion's paw, but no, it's a kitten paw. This has to be the prettiest kitten paw that I've seen. I'm glad I found it. Here's a calico scallop with its sharp hinge wings and all. The cutest little sponge. This is a red-beard sponge, very juvenile state. It's so pretty and velvety, and it is a top, let's see, a coquina. I believe that's a broken coquina. Nature's own little art piece. Just absolutely beautiful. All these little different spots that I did stop, because I just wanted to hop down the island. It's going to be sunset in about 2 hours, so only had 2 hours. I'm going to check up here in the high rack line. Yeah, this Atlantic partridge done. Oh, why do you have to be broken? This was not the day to find a whole one, but I am still holding out. I'm going to find a nice one. There was so much seaweed in all these egg casings here. I was like, I'm going to find a ton, right? This perfect conditions. Oh, here is a communal apple Murex casing. The mamas from these apple Murexes will communally lay their eggs together. And I was reading in the book Florida Living Beaches that after they do lay these eggs together, they'll hang around. They won't eat, and they'll just hang around, presumably to keep an eye together on the egg mass. Here is a jingle. Let's see, we got a scaly scallop, a nice purple one. These scalies only have one predominant hinge wing sticking out the bottom there. Been drawn to these hagstones. Hagstones are basically any type of stone that has a natural hole in it. And a yellow prickly cockle. Yellow symbolism can represent both joy and warnings, making it one of the most psychologically interesting colors in the spectrum. Here's another scaly, but we'll leave this one behind. A broken jingle, and I'm definitely checking under seaweed. Late in the afternoon, close to the sunset. You never know. Find something really fun. Won't be finding my ton, though. Won't be finding my ton shell. I was for sure I was going to find a ton with all the seaweed. There was so much. Hey, that's cool. It is a solidified, broken, of course, but that's really pretty, knobbed whelk opening to the right there. Oh, yeah, that's a broken piece of a calorie. Not finding calorie. You can find a lot. After storms, Hutchinson is a really good place to find calories. I just need to find myself here after those storms so I can find some, but I have found a lot of nice calories just on a regular day here on Hutchinson. Here's a jewel box lid to an Atlantic jewel box, the left-handed jewel box, and a really nice spectral bittersweet. Picked up a few nice striking ones. Fantastic. Now, this must have just washed up because that would not still be on the beach. if I wasn't the first one to see it. A lightning whelk that's exciting to find on the East Coast. Not broken or severely worn. Here's another jewel box lid. This is to a leafy jewel box. These grow in the opposite direction than the Atlantic one we just picked up. And a hand full of bittersweets. Here we have a spiny slipper snail. I do like picking these ones up, as well as the dark ones, the ones that are really solid. And another set of horse riders are going out, and we are going to continue moving, let's see, south on this island. We'll go all the way south down to the bathtub beach area. The negative low tides are really fun here because it shows and exposes a lot of beach. Now there are a lot of older shells, like in my opinion, like if I'm going to compare Hutchinson to Jupiter, there's a lot more older shells here. Here's a mossy arc, but there can be some really nice shells here too. And here's a fly speck seraph. And some of these older shells can be fun, like this shark eye. It's gorgeous. It does have a hole in the side that was just a slipper snail jammed up in it, but I just think that's so beautiful the way that is, like that. Rustic. Here is a chestnut lattice. This also has a hole. At first when I looked at that, I was like, did it repair itself? But no, it was just a shell fragment stuck up in there. These chestnut lattices can get pretty big back in the Del Rey dredge piles. Man, I was pulling those out huge. An angel wing, but yeah, they're always old and broken, and they're so fragile. To find a whole one would be something. And these are slipper snails in a mating stack, and we talked about that a couple of videos ago. Here's a northern quahog, and I always find them a little older over here, not really bright purple in the inside of those. They're always like a manila folder color. Few pebble rocks. Hey, a giant bittersweet. All right, that's a pretty good size. Hold on to that one. Like using that for my projects, and I'm going to show you a Calico project shortly here. Here's another one. Yeah, see, they're just always this discolored color. Now over on, let's see, Jupiter Island is the next island south, and I found those over there too, but they're a little bit brighter. Here's a lettered olive, little one, and a broad rib cardita. Here's a couple calicos, and last beach walk I showed you a shellflower tea light holder, and here is another one using just these calico scallops, and I have it mounted on a large giant bittersweet, and the inside, the base inside here is just sand and Elmer's glue. And here's it with the battery operated tea light. Last video I forgot to show you what the tea light looked in that other one, but here's what it looks like. And I will have this one in particular in my Etsy shop, and when I get some time I plan to make a few other ones too, and have this along with my other shell flowers that I offer in Etsy. Here's an oyster that I will collect. I do like making pendants out of these, just drilling a hole in the top there, and some barnacles tucked in this northern quahog. A little old, but I thought that was pretty unique, so I'll hold on to it. And here's a shark eye. This one is so little. Our next beach walk, we're going to be north south Hutchinson Island. And we're going to find some huge moons. Now, this is a broken piece of a giant ton, but I'm going to hold on to it because it's circular and I could probably use that in a project. We have a giant cockle to the left and a yellow cockle to the right. Oh, and a broken tulip. These are broken heartbreakers. The tons, the calorie. Oh, and the tulip. Some more shark eyes. All the ones we're going to find in our next beach walk. Is just crazy how large they all were. And here is a lightning Venus and another giant Atlantic giant cockle. Another lightning Venus clam and a really pretty orange jingle. Here's another calico with pretty good hinge wings and a shark eye. A little rough on that lip. Nothing a nail file can't correct. All right, an orange calico. I wish there was more of these over here on the East Coast. They're so pretty. We have a tinted cantharus and a really nice mossy arc. That's a pretty bright white for that one. So lots of little shell pieces, and let's see. Yay! A purplish simile. These also have an orange version. And another hagstone with a perfect circle. Got another chestnut laterus, hole free, and a shark eye that looks hole free as well. Oh, yay! An Imperial Venus clam. It's a little bit aged and yellow, but it's not chipped, so that's a plus. Here's a king's crown, a crown conch. Let's see, and we have a drill. This is a thick lip drill. You can find the thick lips over here on the East Coast. Find those thick lips by the river also, as well as those crowns. And a top shell. It's so beautiful. It's a sculpture top snail. Just beautiful condition. Nice tip, and I just love how rounded the base of these top snails are. And I spy a paper cockle, a broad paper cockle, and it is a little chipped, but along the growth line, it broke pretty nice, and I just nail filed that as well. I use a lot of nail files for, just minor corrections on these shells. Here's another thick lip. If I have to do some major repairs on something I think is worthy to repair, I'll use a Dremel. And here is a broad ribbed cardita with some fantastic beading. That's just gorgeous. All right, so let's move on to our, third location. This spot is Walted Rocks. This is where we were on our last beach walk, and lots of these casings even down here. There was more casings here and our next little spot before I ended up at our final spot down near Bathtub Beach. But I just cannot remember, even during the seasons when you see egg casings like this many, and with so many, I was so hopeful for a ton. I really thought I was gonna find a ton today, and maybe I would have if I was a little bit earlier out to the beach, but I did find quite a few pieces. So that was really happy, because at least I know that they are out here. Here's an apple murex. Now, when I first spotted it, I did think it was a juvenile giant eastern murex. That would have been pretty neat to find. I have found some juvenile versions of that species, and sometimes those apple murexes can mimic these smaller ones. Let's see, lightning Whelk. Here's a Florida prickly cockle. Just a little dirty. It did clean up pretty nice. I love it when those have the really nice texture like that. Here's another cockle. This is an egg cockle. Here's the egg casing of a horse conch. I have ran into more casings than I ever have horse conchs over on the East Coast. So they are out there. They just do not wash up very often. That was a turkey wing, a broken turban. Let's see. I've got another. I think that was Mossy Ark. I always feel like my eyes are a little scrambled. Here's the Calico. When I'm looking through a bunch of shells and seaweed, like I want to keep moving, but yet I want to look too. Here's a really beautiful slipper. That's a gorgeous solid brown one. And a lace Murex. All right, it's a little rough of condition, but it still has its pink proto-conch, which is the tip of that shell where it started out its life. Another great color on a yellow prickly cockle. And here is a Magnum prickly cockle, what I like to call the strawberry ringed cockle. That is not a common name, that's just my made up common name for this shell. Here's a nice chip of sea glass. I would like to wire wrap sea glass at some point. I have had some fun wrapping sea beans, and I definitely want to give it a shot at wire wrapping sea glass. Here's another Atlantic jewel box and a chip of northern quahog, that purple part's known as wampum, and another fantastic lightning Venus clam. Here's a cute little coffee bean trivia. I have had some great luck here at Walton finding these coffee beans. Now we're just a little bit south of Walton Rocks. I just pulled over at the next, or some random place after some condos to check out what's here. And this is the area that there was just casings everywhere, and I really love this one. This is the casing of a banded tulip. Those holes you see are closed, and when the babies are ready to be released, they'll be perforated, and that's where all of these little guys come out. So this one seems to be doing pretty good. I didn't walk too far down this beach. There was just so much seaweed, and in some areas, instead of a scarp wall with sand, it was a scarp wall with seaweed. Here's another horse conch egg casing, pretty large one. I did find a smaller, like little clump of dried up ones that I did take home, and I fished out a few of the little babies. And I'll show you that at the shell haul. No! See, the ton shells were out, but I just did not find a solid one. Just an incredibly thin, delicate shell. But there was a lot of seaweed, and I did find a lot of pieces. I wonder if anyone found a nice ton this day. This was the spot in my last beach walk with you that I was telling you there's an area that just had casings everywhere, and they were just everywhere. There's got to be some like reef system or something right offshore here, because I've never seen this concentration of casings in one spot. Walton Rocks is pretty good. There's a reef out there as well. Is that another ton? It is. Okay, I should come here. I should have came here in the morning. Maybe I really would have found, okay, like 95% of one or more. Here's a Pear Whelk casing. These look very similar to the lightning Whelk. The lightning Whelk one is right there. A lot bigger. here is the last spot, hopping all the way down South Hutchinson Island. This is the beach park right before you get to Bathtub Reef Beach, and we'll walk around to it in a little bit just to see what that area is like. The water was so teal, even though it was so overcast. It must have been just really pretty earlier in the day when there was a little bit of sun. Here's a little piece of a juvenile hawkwing. That would have been really fun also to collect. And here's a giant bittersweet. It's a little bit damaged, but these just make excellent shell bases to my flowers. And now to my tea light shell flowers. Got a couple kitten paws, but nothing outbeats that first one. It was just so beautiful. Further north that we found the best one that I found. Okay, so here is Bathtub Beach. You can see how the two parks are pretty connected. This whole area has such a history with beach erosion. Bathtub Beach was closed for, I think, over a year. And these two houses, I don't know how they're still standing. They have had so much damage with all the erosion. But I haven't found too many things at Bathtub Beach, but I did find my first East Coast horsecock here, so this place is pretty special. Here's an egg cockle and a busted Scotch bonnet, but I'll hold on to it. To celebrate my channel milestone here on YouTube for reaching 10,000 subscribers, I am hosting a giveaway on my website now through May 19, 2026. I had mentioned that on our last beach walk, and I want to thank Megan again for donating to my giveaway. Please check out her site at celebrity.com, and she holds live shows along with her husband Tyler on the app Whatnot, selling her Sea Luxe jewelry brand. And here are the shells that I collected from my beach hopping South Hutchinson Island. And thank you so much for joining me. My plumerias are blooming and they're so pretty. I love the yellow ones. I have some white ones, and I do have some really pretty pink ones. Can't wait for those to bloom. All the shells all nice and cleaned up. I just absolutely love how doing these shell boards at the end is just so exciting for me, just as picking all the shells up. Here are the tiny little horse conchs that I fished out of a dried casing that I did find. And they're a little bit tough sometimes to get out, but I think chopping them with scissors, I was using an X-Acto knife before. It's much better using scissors. And just fished them all out and just gave them a little bit of rinse. And when they dry completely, I'll put those in little glass vials with cork lids. These are my favorites. The orange calico is just gorgeous, and that red lion's paw, the drills, and my trivia is so cute. And this top snail, the sculptured top snail, is just gorgeous. Just love these top shells. Here's that broad paper cockle, nice and finished. I just chipped away the little broken part and used an emery board and filed it smooth. Got some chestnut lattice shells, rock snails, lots of little moons, and we'll find some bigger ones on our next beach walk. Got some wampum pieces, a nice lightning whelk, and a knobbed whelk. It's broken, but I love how it's solidifying into that rock, or the rock solidifying to it. Pretty spectral bittersweets and calicos, and love the yellow on the yellow prickly cockle. Got a Magnum, a strawberry ring cockle. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I leave you with this.